please give this video a like and subscribe! Let's talk about Stephen Colbert's Lord of the Rings, the Harry Potter TV series trailer, Five Nights at Epstein's, and more on today's Week in Culture.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be, and welcome back to Honey Badger Arcade. Sometimes I have to think about what channel this is because I'm doing it. My name is Brian. I'm here with John, the problematic white guy, and this is the Week in Culture, where we discuss the cultural news of the week and try to do a bit of a deeper dive into the topic. You know, look at what's going on behind what's going on. Yes, maybe that's how I'll put it. What's behind what's going on?
Indeed.
The goings on. I don't know. So, hello, sir, John. How are you doing?
Oh, awesome as always. I was just telling Brian about all the fun stuff that we've got doing home repairs here today. So, it's just been busy few days around here, and I got a new PC. So, no complaints.
Sweet.
It seems to be running well,
Nice.
and I should be able to start using some of the old editors I haven't been able to use for last year, like DaVinci Resolve and whatnot. So
Yeah,
that'll be nice. Actually, it's been almost 2 years since I've really been able to do some of this stuff. So it'll be nice to actually get on to the next phase of content creation again. So
there you go. Awesome.
Yeah.
I've been good. Like I was just saying, it's just another week for me. Looking for Jojo, my dog, who doesn't want to sit for the cameras. He just wants to lay by my feet now. I think I'm about to move the camera so that Jojo's still in the shot. So I'm afraid that unless he gets up and decides of his own volition to go sit in his bed, he's just over here with me, and I'm not going to zap him or anything. So he can stay here if he wants. He's going to be turning 10 in a couple of weeks. So, he's getting up there. But he's actually quite spry for an old guy. He's quite spry. Because he's very well fed. But yeah, I mean, not much going on, still Lindsay and I are still talking about moving possibly to either Wisconsin, Michigan, or Indiana. Those are the three places that I think look the best. I'm not a big fan of Detroit, but Ann Arbor is pretty nice.
Indeed.
And Indiana, it would be something like Hammond or something. Also looking at Wisconsin, like Kenosha area, that kind of thing. Not what's the Milwaukee? Although Milwaukee's not bad. Lindsay and I like Milwaukee, so but yeah, we're still talking about it. Nice. But anyway, with that said, that's kind of in the very much in the future. I'd have to change my job situation. I have a job at HBR, but it's something that just sort of keeps things afloat, but I need something to move towards. So but I've been taking on some art commissions, so that's kind of promising. I'm working on something right now for a guy, and so hopefully I'll get more of those because I'm trying to get back into that headspace.
Nice.
And sometimes that can be difficult, but
Yeah.
let me give a shout out to you guys in the chat, and then we're going to get into the stories because we got a lot to cover and I don't want the show to go over. So let's see. We got hello to Saltpeter Taffy is the first guy to show up. What's up, man? Mr. 0303 on Rumble. Murder of Crows. What's up? Norwegian Black Templar on Rumble. Robert Johnson. Problematic white guy. I don't know who that guy is, but he should stick around. 12354 underscore and then Moon Rune says, say my name 3 times. I'll just say it the one time. And Stream Elements. All right. So in before Kick sends over some bots, because I am streaming to Kick right now as well as Twitch. But welcome to the show to everybody. But we got to get into the stories. I have to start with, I believe it was Master Goa that sent a super chat last stream, last week's show, wanted me to check out a video game, and we didn't have time. So I said I was going to do it. So I'm going to do it now. This is called Age of Barbarians Chronicles. So we're going to look at the trailer for this. So let's do that before we get into the stories.
Indeed.
Let's see if hopefully there's sound. Oh yeah. it's got a weird 3D, 2D thing going on. Reminds me of Golden Axe. That's something that we should definitely have as a Golden Axe type game.
Age of Barbarians Chronicles.
Play solo or co-op.
I am Ronan.
Interesting.
Yeah. Look at this art of the 3D graphics. It has like this, kind of like when we were just getting into CGI, like PS1, you know, era. Look at that.
Yeah, I like it though.
I guess the final version of this game has like nudity and stuff, so this is actually kind of like a, so it's very much like hardcore Conan.
Yeah,
Type.
That reminds me of Golden Axe a little bit, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely reminds me of Golden Axe.
Chronicles.
Haha, wasn't so hard, was it?
Definitely an indie game.
Golo, hurry! Call Ador and Ronkundar.
They come.
Kind of reminds me of the
dinosaurs and
first,
shit.
yeah, the old isometric Fallouts too.
So this is already out now. It just has an ad for launching tomorrow. But
right.
anyway,
Yeah.
so what do you
it
think,
looks
John?
interesting. It looks interesting enough. You know, I'm not flush with cash, but it is looks like a game that might be kind of interesting if I had.
Yeah.
disposable funds.
Actually, let me see how much it is right now. I put it in my wish list, but I didn't like. Can't remember the price. So I'll just look and see here. Yeah, I did wish list it. That usually means I might come back around to it at you know, at some point. So what is it called again? Age of Barbarians? I already forgot. Age of Barbarians. Yeah, Age of Barbarians. So let's just take a look. Barbarians Chronicles. Yeah, it's like $18.99. And apparently there's a game that is in the same franchise called Age of Barbarian Extended Cut. So maybe that's a different game that came out like earlier. Yeah, 2016.
Yeah.
So this is an older one, but it's sort of like the same thing. So interesting. So thank you for that, Master Goa. I believe that was you, and if it wasn't, I apologize. That sent this through. But okay, that was one of the first things. And another thing I want to do before we get into the stories is just to point out that I really like Japanese politics. There's something about it. Can't put my finger on it. There's something about it that I think is pretty appealing. This model for the Metroid Zero mission is now parliamentary vice minister of the environment, Chisato Morishita. She was a former, they call it a gravure model. That's sort of like a pinup girl or cheesecake model, and TV personality. Portrayed Zero Suit Samus in the Japanese live-action promotional commercials and print ads for Metroid Zero Mission, which is a game that came out on the Game Boy Advance in 2004. It was handpicked by series co-creator Yoshio Sakamoto, who felt she captured Samus's ferocity. In the ad, she appears in the iconic blue Zero suit, crawling through vents and battling aliens before suiting up. So yeah, she is actually the parliamentary vice minister of the environment in Japan. So it's it's just one of these funny things that the fans dug up. A little bit of trivia for you guys.
I saw this earlier in the week posted as a video of that top scene, and it's
a video from the ad.
Yeah, well, from the old ad. Yeah, it did not disappoint.
Don't ever change, Japan. That's all I'm saying. Don't ever change, because the rest of the world is trying too hard to change, and I appreciate that you guys are keeping it real, especially since I mean, I'm generally skeptical of women in politics, but if they're going to be in politics, we might as well like looking at them, is what I'm saying. So, let's see what you guys are saying about this in general here. So, people from Milwaukee are tools. Mean that they're useful, I guess. Mr. 0303 says, update Dave Cullen's art with no hair. Yeah, if he ever reaches out and wants me to do more of his faces, I'll do them for sure. He's been like, Dave Cullen's been moving away from technology altogether a lot, so it's actually getting harder and harder to reach him. I gave him my phone number because he asked me to, but I don't know if he got it or not because I was talking to him on Telegram for a while.
Right.
So anyway, yeah. Let's see. Mr. 0303 says, looks a bit like stop motion animation. Yeah, I think the monsters, I love that they look like that, actually. I think that to have a game where you feel like you're in a Ray Harryhausen movie from like the 60s, I think it's super cool.
Yeah.
Master Goa says, I don't care what anyone says. I liked Golden Axe Beast Rider. I never played that one. I don't really know. I would like to see the beat 'em up come back. They did put they did do something with Golden Axe, which I thought was kind of interesting. I don't have that one picked out as a story, but for the game Shinobi, the new Shinobi, the 2D one that came out, they're releasing like I don't know, you could call it like a Sega bosses DLC pack where you can fight like these characters from other Sega games like Dr. Robotnik and the antagonist from the Yakuza series, and I think his name is Death Adder, the final boss of Golden Axe, the original Golden Axe, is actually a boss you can fight in the Shinobi game, which I thought was pretty cool. I can definitely like put that. Maybe we could do that as cake if we have time, so we could look at it.
Indeed.
Let's see. Norwegian says Japanese politics is just IRL anime. Yeah, basically. Milwaukee is a tool brand. Yeah, they make power tools. Yeah, for sure. Beast Rider was a 3D game. It was okay. Yeah, I think you could do a good 3D beat 'em up, but I'm kind of inclined to think 2D might just work better for that kind of game, like a beat 'em up. Unless you did like a 2.5D where you had like, 3D models that had a 2D appearance, kind of like what Arc System Works essentially made their whole brand. So that'd be interesting. All right, thank you for the comments. Now we're actually going to get into the stories. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's talk about Canada. Oh my gosh.
This never disappoints.
They never disappoint. So in March of this year, Public Safety Canada announced over $317,000 in funding spread over 2 years to the Royal United Services Institute in the UK. They're partnering with the Extremism and Gaming Research Network to dig into how online gaming spaces like Discord, Twitch, or Roblox might accidentally or not become a breeding ground for radicalization to violence. The focus is on community building during play, how chats, groups, and shared identities could slide into harmful territory, especially through misogyny or hate. Of course, it's misogyny. It's always misogyny. Or hate that links up with extremist views across cultures. They'll pull data from public forums, metadata, and surveys, all viewed through a gender lens to spot patterns without overreach. The goal, full-on censorship and control? No. Better safety tools, smarter moderation, and prevention that keeps gamers, especially the younger ones, out of trouble. No big updates since, but it's tied into Canada's broader push against online extremism.
Yeah.
All
Or
right,
as you had already
about
mentioned.
this, and what are your thoughts?
Well, I think you summed it up right there when you just said thought crimes, because that's ultimately what this is about. Is how can we censor you and blame you for the reason why we're doing it? But this is not a surprising move by the Canadians, not even in the slightest. This is what they seem to be all about for the most part these days, censoring actual legitimate gamers and then trying to astroturf the message in wherever they possibly can to educate us all about how we could just be doing better if we just sit in the pods, eat the bugs, and don't want to own anything and just take all of the weird leftist kind of mindset messaging games that they put out and consume readily. And for whatever reason, I think it's called where people with common sense and discernment, yeah, they're having a little bit of trouble, like with the execution part. They're kind of like the underpants gnome, like there seems to be a couple points missing in their plan, and it never really seems to pan out for them. So I guess I'd say best of luck to them, but this is all some commie bullshit, so I don't really want it to actually succeed. So, yeah, but thanks for trying again.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh. So, like, look, these are all the various members and organizations that were involved in putting this thing together. I tried looking some of these up, and I got 404s. Like,
right?
No, yeah, 404 not found. See, arrow 404. We're sorry, page not found. And I think it's on all of them.
Right.
I mean, I guess I could Google them as well, but a lot of these are like the Global Network on Extremism and Technology, the International Center for Counterterrorism, the Tech Against Terrorism, Global Internet Forum to Counter Terrorism. Anything that says global and forum in it, I'm not interested in.
Right. Yeah. It's like it immediately conjures up, the WF and other silly ass globalist NGOs.
Yep. So more than sports, building resilience against extremism in esports. You guys know that there's extremism in esports now? Gaming the system, use of gaming adjacent communication, game and mod platforms by extremist actors. So mods are extremists as well. This is probably why, Vortex, is it Vortex mods? They're really great about censoring things. What?
Is it Vortex or Nexus?
Nexus, you're right,
Yeah.
Nexus mod.
Yeah.
But they have like their app for downloading mods and installing them is called Vortex. It's Nexus mods, yeah. Speaking of which, I just remembered something. So I'm subscribed to that website, that feminist gaming journalism website. It's called Mothership, right? And every week on Fridays, I get an email from them with some like articles, and I thought I would read a couple just so you know like what these people are doing, like what they're talking about, because I'm guessing that the same groups that are funding these kinds of networks are also talking with groups like these journalists as though they're like the real, like, that's how they get their finger on the pulse of what's going on in gaming, right? So I'll give you an example of some of the articles that they've written. Silent Hill 2, James Sunderland and the murder no one calls murder. So they're talking about how the Silent Hills 2's 3 endings serve as a larger social commentary, and how the game's depictions of Mary, Maria, and Angela hammer that home. So it's all about, and the thing is too is that I know a lot of people had issues with Silent Hill F. I never played it or anything, so I'm not defending that game. But they're like, it's like a feminist fever dream or whatever. But if you think about it, other than the first Silent Hill, I think they've all had like themes that were, I would say, at least a bit liberal. Like if you look at Silent Hill 2, what is it all about? It's about James Sunderland murdering his wife, basically. So you're not the hero of that story. It is about like murdering your wife, and so you could take that. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that story as it is, but you could take that story and make it into something of a, let's say, a moral statement. Like it can be viewed as a misogynistic thing. So Gabriel says Angela doesn't get murdered. No, I know, but I think that she's still a woman in the game. So they're because I think Angela was a victim of abuse, like sexual abuse. I haven't played that game in a while, but if I remember correctly, when you fight her boss, it's like a bed with 2 backs. It's pretty suggestive.
Right.
But yeah. Anyway. So yeah, then there's what else did they cover? This week this is like from the email I got. This week I've been immersed in Esoteric Ebb, the Disco Elysium meets D&D narrative game in which, as my colleague Zoe put it, men talk to men about manhood, and that's a good thing. its male protagonist Ragan is deeply concerned with how manly he is or isn't, and the game's writer Christopher Beauregard takes on the challenge of lambasting patriarchal norms through the game's many dialogue choices. But what's perhaps most impressive about all of that is that Esoteric Ebb is a comedy game. So I'm not going to read any more of that. I'm just letting you know that Esoteric Ebb is on my blacklist, just based on that.
Yeah, you couldn't see it because of the sunglasses, but my eyes nearly rolled out of my head. My sunglasses kept everything in. I was like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, look, Angela's brother and father sexually abused her, but her mother also justified it too. So, like, if you think about it, and look, I get that Silent Hill 2 is something of a sacred cow, but if you think about it, like, if we're gonna look at like what the how the media creates a narrative today and how woke games are today, we kind of have to look at like, well, wait a minute, was this always the case to some degree? Because this is a defense that's often made by our opponents, is say, oh, this thing was always woke, the thing that you liked. So if you have a story where a man kills his wife, and in the same area, in the same game, you have a story of a woman who is raped by her brother and her father, then does that, like, is the game trying to say something about men? I'm just asking. Again, I can enjoy the game, but is it trying to say something about men when it puts that as the, like, are there redeemable men in that game at all? What about the guy who tries to kill you? I don't remember his name, but he's like the fat kid, right? And like, what's the one character that seems okay is the little girl that you can rescue. I think you can like leave the game with her, if I remember correctly. So what does that say? I'm just asking, right? Is that not subversive? I mean, it might not even be subtle. So yeah, Esoteric, I didn't like, I know Disco Elysium is woke too. I knew that from the get-go because it's got this like hipster, like story-driven shit going on. And I'm not interested in playing through somebody else's like, humanist essay about the human condition. I want to play a game. So that's what I think. So yeah, I think Esoteric Ebb is probably woke too. But I can show you guys later on if you haven't seen the trailer for it. Anyway, John, I'm sorry. Did I talk over? Did you want to comment anything on anything that I've said?
No, I mean, it's certainly, like you could read all sorts of stuff into game like Silent Hill 2. I think that for the time that it was coming out, I don't think that it was necessarily probably their intent on all that. I think it was just kind of like, how can we like make a really dark, macabre, just miserable place to exist, and what kind of elements can we put in there in that? And I think through that, yeah, that stuff can certainly be read into it, especially if you're a feminist, minded outlook group that puts out newsletters and things like that. Like this is kind of the thing that this is their wheelhouse, and so I wouldn't find it too surprising that they would go in and look at titles that have been successful through the past and see and try to use it as a way to say, oh, this has been a problem for this long. And sure, there are certainly elements in the story that can kind of be read as a little bit more, patriarchal, misogynistic, and whatnot. In Silent Hill 2, because there's room for that kind of conversation with what's in there, but I don't necessarily think that was the full-on intention. I think they're kind of doing a little bit of a reach in that regard, because that's how their bread is buttered. But it's definitely, yeah, you can definitely see like certain kind of themes in there. So I can't say that they're completely off the mark in terms of selecting something to kind of voice their opinions through. But I don't think that's necessarily was the intention of the game. I think it was more of, you're going through this mystery, and the reason why you can't solve it is because you've gone through all this dissonance in your own mind to kind of disconnect yourself from it. And in a lot of ways, like, you know, I do a lot of conspiracy theorist kind of research into things like Project Monarch and, you know, yeah, all these kinds of various things. And so you could even read, I could read certain kinds of things into that, where you could kind of take those as talking points as well. But I don't necessarily think that that's what
fair.
the game's about.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, but
I'm not
you know,
making the claim that
oh, I know,
it is
yeah,
or not. I think that like because I think they were just trying to tell a story that they thought would be really compelling, which is why that
Right.
game is so like iconic. It's so well known. Silent Hill 2, it like stands out even, you know, beyond the first or third game.
Yeah.
But I think that it's one of these things that can get co-opted in that way, because if you're just telling a story about, you know, like, I don't know, like loss and guilt, and you can like have a lot of interesting themes going on, but it can be co-opted and used. So the feminist view would say this sets a precedent for whatever trash we're going to put out later, like Silent Hill F.
Right.
Which I think and I don't know if Japan, like, you know, got like bitten by the woke bug. I think they did, but I don't know if it's as bad as it is here in the West.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's see what you guys are saying. But yeah, last thing about this. So, but the Canada thing, I kind of got distracted by the mothership, but I wanted to like say, like, why would they be concerned about extremism and mothership and like these sort of like, you know, more, let's say, left-leaning like blogs and websites are where they usually get their, or at least use for the justification to surveil and censor and control, you know, various like cultural arms. Like, why would they be concerned with video games? Like, is that really as important as, like, I don't know, say geopolitics or the economies or anything like that? Well, it's because it is important. It's the culture. They know that they can control people's behavior with the culture.
That's right. So, mass formation hypnosis via media. So yeah.
Let's see what you guys are saying. But like, last thing about this, like I said, they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars just to do a study on this, to figure out how Discord, Twitch, and Roblox become breeding grounds for radicalization towards violence. Maybe they should be investigating the trans community.
Right.
Transgenderism. How about schools? We're going to get into schools in a second. How about schools? Could schools be radicalizing kids? Should we do a study into that? But anyway, let's see what you guys are saying, and then we're going to move on. Gabriel Phelan Lucas says Silent Hill 2 is the favorite in the West, not Japan. Mr. 0303 says, but James was sympathetic in Silent Hill 2. Feminists won't portray a sympathetic man. That not anymore. I think even when they do, it's sort of like to point him towards feminism as like the thing that saves him.
Right.
So that would be the only way they would do it that way. Master Goa says, I personally don't think Silent Hill 2 was woke. It's just a messed up place with messed up people. Also, despite murdering her, James was tormented by it. Yes, that was actually the game itself. Like, playing the game was where the torment was at. Gabriel says the main villains of Silent Hill 1 and 3 are women. The heads of the cult are women trying to birth their evil female god. You can call that feminist, but it's not in no way positive. Well, I don't know. They would say it is positive in this day and age. Remember the lesbian space witches?
Yep.
It's you know how many movies are about satanic cults and witch covens today? Like, these days, do you know how many they make? It's like everywhere.
You can't turn a corner without running into a feminist witch, production of some form, whether they're in space or in the woods or, you know, like in the past or the future.
In the boardroom.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
On the internet, like, whatever, for sure. Let's see. Japan is only starting to experience woke. Yeah. I think that they do have, like, that's obviously a growing cancer, though, in Japan.
Yeah. It's simmering at the moment, hasn't boiled over quite yet. So. Master
Goa says feminists are just trying to reframe our memories. Gabriel says final boss of Silent Hill 1 is literally a Baphomet in the good ending. Oof. Norwegian says feminists tend to see what would-be villains as heroic because they see themselves in them. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, let me know what you guys think about this. I like your thoughts on Silent Hill. I don't think it's a woke game. Like the original ones were. I think they were exploring themes that a lot of games did not because they played it really straightforward. And I think that the ability to play with new ideas is like how you get really iconic games that are legendary.
Right.
But that means also that there are going to be people who are going to try and twist it into something. They're going to try and reinvent it into their own image, right? So, okay. So moving on to the next story. Do you guys remember the X-Files? Of course you remember this guy from the X-Files, right? It's like, so 2 days ago, Hulu confirmed Himesh Patel as the co-lead in the X-Files reboot pilot, joining co-star Danielle Deadwyler, pictured here. These are the new agents for the X-Files movie. Patel, known from Tenet and Station 11, will play one of two fresh FBI agents, highly decorated, totally different personalities who get teamed up on a dusty old division handling unexplained stuff like aliens and weird cases. These are not Mulder and Scully. These are new characters. I think obviously they're not Mulder and Scully, but I'm just saying they didn't just recast Mulder and Scully.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So the vibe echoes the original's mix of skepticism and wonder. Now, why would there be such a drastic, let's say, upgrade, perhaps, to like the visual, the characters? Well, that's because Ryan Coogler is involved. You guys know Ryan Coogler. He gave us the Black Panther movies, Sinners, and now this.
Yep.
He is writing and directing with Jennifer Yale's showrunning and Chris Carter's on board as executive producer. Filming starts in Vancouver because, of course, it's in Canada. This May, no word yet on a full series pickup or air date. So we're just going to have a pilot right now. Mm-hmm. So, John, did you watch the X-Files?
Oh, yeah.
I knew it. I knew that. I was like, this is a show that I bet John. I didn't watch it. I don't know. I think I was not able to because I was working around the time that it would air. And it was back in the day where if you missed it, you missed it. But why did you like the X-Files? What was it about that? And what do you think this is going? Is this going to be like, do you think it's going to capture the magic of the original X-Files?
I think the X-Files was right time, right place in the 90s. I, of course, it has the vibes from Twin Peaks. Of course, David Duchovny was in that in the original series as a cross-dressing field agent, and would later go on. And when they did the Return series, they would have that character make the natural progression in the 2000s to just being a they them kind of character, but not in an annoying way, in a way that at least kind of actually made sense to the character. But yeah, the way that X-Files came out was more focused on, it kind of had Monster of the Week elements, obviously, but then it had the overarching
I heard it started off as a Monster of the Week show, and then it was so popular that they started to invest in a more
they really built out the mystery of the black oil and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, it was a show that I enjoyed, just because it was not your standard police drama that was just kind of cut and dry, those supernatural elements and themes that were put into it and things like that. I found to be a little bit more interesting for the time. But I don't think that
watching the Malcolm X Files.
right, exactly. I was gonna say I don't think that it was quite as
the exhibit files. Hey, yo, dog, I heard you like X Files, so I took your X Files and added
right
more color to it, more melanin. The melanin X Files.
Right.
I'm sorry.
No.
So what were you gonna say about X Files?
Well, I was just gonna say that this to me, this is just a co-opting effort to try to rope in a segment of lifestyle groups and whatnot into the I guess into the larger works of the X-Files, so they could say, oh, look at our broad, diverse fan base and everything like that. The movies that came out, after the series had ended, they were always okay, but they weren't really quite as fulfilling as I think anybody would have wanted them to be. And I don't know, this just seems kind of this seems like why even call it X-Files unless there's
I think they want to use the
yes,
to sell the show,
right,
the branding. Because this is what they always do. They take a popular IP and they attach themselves to it because they're hoping people. Oh, I want to watch that. Like wouldn't they planning on bringing back what's the show everybody loved so much that like didn't it was a Joss Whedon show, science fiction.
Oh yeah. Their Firefly is
Firefly, yeah. Like, oh, we're finally gonna get it as a guys. It's not gonna be the same. Like, just stop. Everybody involved with that project is old as fuck now. But no, the fans they want more of the thing. They want more of their thing. And I think that it's you can get to a point where you're like, I kind of wanted this, but I don't think I want this. Like, you ever see Buckaroo Banzai?
The movie. The long ass time, but
so it was a movie that I didn't care for, but I had friends that were really diehard fans of it for some reason, like a cult classic with Peter Weller. And at the end of it, they tease a sequel, but it never came out.
Right.
If they ever announced it, I'd be like, God, do you really want that? Like Big Trouble in Little China ends on a cliffhanger that could have a sequel. I don't want a sequel to that movie. I don't.
Right.
I mean, I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. But a sequel would probably not live up to what my expectations are, and it would just not be good. But yeah, there are people who, I think with Firefly as one example, there are people who really want more of that. I don't know if that same audience is there for X-Files, though.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of these, media conglomerates now are just basically IP branded hedge funds. And so, like, they just want to utilize, as you were saying, the things that people are familiar with and can, easily go and try to rope in an audience. And then once they've got you there at the inception point, then that's where they're going to, try to put in it all their silly ass idealism and various other kind of, shit that just gets put into everything these days. So yeah, I this is on my not going to be watched list as much as I may have enjoyed X-Files.
Well, there's only going to be a pilot,
right?
So I'm sure that when they air the pilot, there's going to be reviews out there.
I'm pretty sure you're right. There is only going to be a pilot. Yeah, I think this is going to be a failure to launch.
I don't know why. I don't know why people like Ryan Coogler. I don't know why they keep giving him money to make movies. The Black Panther movie was not good. And I love the character from the comics when Jack Kirby was writing it, but the movie sucked. It really did. And I didn't understand like why it was so popular. It was fucking nominated for an Oscar. It was like the only MCU movie not obviously like I know why it got nominated. It wasn't because it was a good movie.
Right.
But I just don't Ryan Coogler can barely communicate. Like if you've ever seen him in an interview, he mumbles through everything. I don't know. It's just one of those people is like, how did you get this job? Like, I mean, like, there's no way. And people like your stuff. But my problem with the X-Files is that
waters for the corpo agenda. So that's
obviously, yeah. My issue with this is I think that it's going to be a show, at least the pilot. There's not going to be any substance to it. So one of the things I've noticed is that when you have a show that features like basically just normal like white characters, it's usually better written because they can't lean on the identity of the characters to like push forward the plot because they're just white dudes, like especially if they're white men, right? So you can't like say you can't have scenes where it's like I'm a white man and as a white man, like you can't use that. It doesn't work. So instead you actually have to tell a good story. You actually have to have a good plot where something happens and there's like tension and there's development and there's an arc. And then there's a resolution and a denouement at the end or whatever. You need those things because you can't lean on the identity. And even with, I guess with X-Files, even though there was a female character on there, they wrote her like, you know, like she was just far as I know, maybe you guys can clarify. I don't think there were any like girl power scenes on the show. She was just a female agent, just like the other guy, right?
Yeah.
But like when you have this, it's almost inevitable that there's going to be a scene where they have to go investigate, and there's going to be some like, you know, redneck guy with a red baseball cap that's going to make a comment, and the girl's going to break his arm or something. Like they're just going to do that, and you just see it coming, and because they do those things, you don't know what the plot is. It's just going to be like accept these people despite what they look like. And it's interesting that they're legitimate, like they're legit going with an Indian guy and a black woman for their characters. Like none of this stuff is accidental. None of this stuff is, right? Remember I showed you guys a while ago that this guy on Joe Rogan, I think, made a prediction that this year is going to be all about immigration because we're not doing the trans stuff anymore. We've moved away from that. I'm talking about the, you know, at the sort of corporate globalist level. We moved away from the trans stuff. It's not popular. They're shooting up too many schools, so we can't lean on that anymore. We're done with the black stuff because they've basically burned down too many buildings, and there's too much like body cam footage that doesn't look good. So we're gonna lean on immigration now, and that's like the new thing. And this guy was on Tenet, which is a movie I didn't want to see because I think that Christopher Nolan is overrated. I've watched a couple of his movies. And I realized that he keeps doing the same thing, so I've kind of stopped.
Right, and even when you see Tenet, you still have never heard Tenet, so you know. So.
Yeah,
he only understood about 30% of the movie.
Yeah, I think that ultimately, this show can't have much else to offer except identity. Yeah, I think that they're going to what they do, and they still do this, is they lean on that to get their good, let's say their good reviews or their good press, because even if the customers don't like it, the people who basically give them accolades, the media, the award people, they like it. So they just answer to those people. That's why Sinners won like a record number of Academy Awards. Yeah. You know, like nobody watched the Academy Awards. But Sinners won all of them, basically. It won all of them. And we're like, why? Like, because the movie was good? Come on. We know now. We're like awake to this. This isn't like going to work anymore. So I think that this is going to be a flop. I
think that it's going to undercut the actual legitimate themes and kind of where the story of X-Files was originally headed, where it was more about this pervasive off-world threat that was insidiously kind of filtering its way into institutions and just kind of like, you know, the world in general. But I think that they'll stop short of actually getting to that and just be like, white man bad, don't you know, white man bad. And and that's actually what's at the heart of all this. It's white man bad. And it's going to completely just miss the whole fucking point of the X-Files, because it's going to be caught up in its own delusions. And this is just let's use another, you know, as we both had mentioned, use another familiar brand label that people will have some level of nostalgia for, and we're gonna go and black coat it now, and you know, make it all the things that work for the situation of where we're at now in their ideological mindsets of trying to direct things. Yeah. So it's unfortunate.
So, yeah, no, it's true. It's gonna, like you said, like the themes. I imagine, because again, I didn't watch the X-Files, but I had friends that were big fans of it. Like they were very, like, it was a really smart show from what I was told. And I don't think this is gonna be smart. Like Ryan Coogler, no, that guy's pretty low IQ. I'm sorry. I gotta be, based on the way he talks, you can tell people are dumb, like based on what they consider a good idea. Right. So anyway, let's look at what you guys are saying, and then we're gonna move on to the next story. Please don't clip this or clip this. I don't give a shit. Norwegian Black Templar says, "Sar, I want to believe Sar." Gabriel Saltpeter Taffy says, "Boycott." Yeah, you got to watch it on Hulu or something. Anyway, I don't have Hulu. What, like that? That's another thing. They're gonna put on a streaming service that I don't think a lot of people even have a membership on. It's kind of like throwing money into like,
Yeah,
they're just throwing it out.
every few
So-
months I get a email from Hulu saying we'll give you a free month, and it's
Yeah.
like, not today, Disney, not today. I don't
I'm
care. How
good.
you, yeah, I don't
Get back
care how
from
much
me,
you try.
Satan.
Right,
Um,
right.
Gabriel Phelan Lucas says Black's Files with an X. Black X Files, Black's Files. Robert Johnson says someone should do a study on the young liberal white woman to forest witch selling mushrooms and potions pipeline. Yeah, right. Mr. 0303 says the plot is that the FBI hires DEIs to hide the aliens. Okay. Master Go says do not redeem. Gabriel says Mercedes and Shaquan. Master Go then says X-Files sister show Millennium was so much better. I heard a lot of good things about that. It didn't last that long. It's kind of like Sliders, where it was like one of these shows that had a lot of promise, but nobody, like, I get for whatever reason it got canceled. That was the one with Lance Henriksen, right? Millennium?
Yeah, and it was based on the I watched the movies that came out prior to the series. Yeah, it was based off of a movie, which if I remember correctly, I believe Lance Henriksen was also in the movie. And then I think I probably watched maybe one or two of the episodes of the series that they had done. But yeah, the movies. You should go back and check out the movie. It's about this plane that gets that kind of disappears mid-flight, and they're trying to solve the mystery of the whole thing, and yeah, so that kind of carries into what we go into the series. But yeah,
we should definitely bring that kind of those kinds of shows back, but not with Ryan Coogler or who,
right?
Whatever. But like like those kinds of really cool, like spooky science fiction shows, but they take place in a contemporary world. It's like learning about something beyond, like like I don't know. I like the idea of that. I think we should bring those back. Gabriel says, my dad watched X-Files. I've only seen a few episodes with him. The Cops crossover episode spooked me as a kid. Oh, like they did a crossover with the show Cops? That's interesting. Despite being hilarious now. Mr. 303 says, the Monster of the Week episodes were better. The overall plot was a mess.
It was a little bit muddled in its execution.
I don't know that they ever solved it. They made a movie at one point, right? There was an X-Files movie. I don't know if that was supposed to.
They made a couple of movies, but one of them seemed a little bit more just kind of its own thing that wasn't focused too much on all that. So yeah, it's definitely was a little bit muddled in its execution, but all the more reason for either just kind of leaving it where it was because they didn't even sort it out the first time, or make something that's actually about trying to resolve. Well, I think
that's what happens when because I'm guessing they probably had different writers. So like when you have a bunch of different writers, you're more likely to like lose focus on your story. It's not like say Twin Peaks where you had, it was like the guy had a vision.
Right.
And so it stayed, even if you're confused, because I was, you knew that there was something organized there. You just couldn't figure out what it was.
Right. And based on the stories that we're covering today, that will not be the last time that you hear David Lynch getting mentioned. I can assure you, because I have like a whole thing about what I made the thumbnail. For.
All right. So anyway, Gabriel says DMX files.
And good morning, Toasty.
Mystery of the African ceiling bird. All right. Saltpeter Taffy says Ibram X Files. That's good. Ibram X Files. That's great. Norwegian says I dread what they will do to Stargate. Are they going to do Stargate? Are they bringing that back? Oh my God. I never watched it, but that was another one of those shows. It was like Babylon 5, Farscape.
Stargate is one of the few properties that hasn't been infiltrated yet, and still. So yeah, it's got to be one of the next ones that they'll look towards. Yeah. How can we take this away from the people who actually enjoyed it for decades?
Gabriel says the best thing to happen to Cowboy Bebop is that it ended. The live show does not exist. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's okay that something just ends.
Yeah,
I think that's okay, right? Like some of the best story, a lot of anime often ends. Like, I mean, Naruto doesn't seem to end, but but or Dragon Ball doesn't seem to end. But like when it ends, it's usually relatively satisfying. Like you get
Right.
like a beginning, middle, and end, and it's over, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm commending in recent days is Death Stranding 2 is the end of the story. There's not going to be a Death Stranding 3.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just like this was a story that was set in two parts because the first one came out with the whole idea of the gun the rope versus the stick, the string versus the stick thing that he wanted, and
Yeah.
when the way that was received, his response to it was, well, what if it's really more about a balance of these two things, and how like there's really not a clear cut answer of something being necessarily all right or all wrong, and like we're all just kind of we contain multitudes, and we all have like parts of ourselves that are probably a little bit flawed, and the things that actually develop who we are in our characters and our overall personalities and things like that. But because he is independent and not under the thumb of anything success you have to make more of. Although I would argue that Death Stranding, the first entry, is probably from a financial standpoint, far more successful than the second one, obviously. But I think that even if it were to sell well, I think that his artistic integrity on what it is, and he's got other things that he wants to be doing, the idea that he's just like, well, I'll just put out this thing in two parts and that's it. And so that's, we need more of that, where people just tell their story and get on to the next story, and not get caught up in like, oh, well, there's more here to explore, and let's like try to feed this into it too.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you're going to do something that doesn't like end per se, like and it's a show, maybe each episode just is a self-contained thing. So if you stop it, you don't like make people feel like there's, things that are left undone. And that's okay for certain things, like when I was, like children's programming, sitcoms, things like that. But when you're doing, like, if you have like a big plan, you should stick to the plan. And if it's, because the problem with it is that you have people that are like, you have the people who have a vision, then you have the people who are funding that, and they're seeing dollar signs and like, we have to keep making this thing. But then you also have fans that want more of the thing too. And so there's a demand for it, but I don't think that you should necessarily listen if you have something in mind. Because otherwise, it'll turn into, One Piece. Like, I don't know. Are they ever going to find the One Piece? I mean, the problem is, it's kind of like, what are these shows where you have like a man and a woman character, and
won't
get the sense that they could like get together,
right? And
it's sort of like, will they, won't they? And you can make that go on for a while, but the problem is if they actually do get together, then the show's over, because that could be one of the main things that keeps people tuning in. So you have to almost never answer the question so you can keep doing the show.
Right.
After a while, people are just going to get tired of it. I think they did that in X-Files too with
Yes.
Right?
I was going to say that was very much part of the will they won't they was put into that, and also the whole thing about solving mysteries can ruin them. That to again bring up Twin Peaks. That was corporate malfeasance and people in the boardroom sitting here trying to tell David Lynch, oh, well, we should really figure out who the killer is in season 2. And he fought tooth and nail against it as much as he could, but was ultimately overruled. And they did that, kind of fucked up the show. They had to bring in Penny Marshall, and she just was like, oh, let's put in kooky things because that's what this show is. And ultimately kind of the show suffered harshly, went from being the thing that people were watching to just a thing that people had watched. And David Lynch came in at the end and kind of like worked with it and tried to at least get it back to more of this kind of thing that goes beyond the surface. And so the real mystery was, we solved the mystery, but what's the thing that is inside you that
maybe there's a mystery beyond you solve one layer and you find that the rabbit hole is deeper. That can be very satisfying too, or interesting.
And so he did that just as a way to recover the whole point of the idea of mystery is what moves things forward, and once you find the answer, you no longer have to search for it, and so it's no longer fulfilling because it's just like, oh, well, you can just point to the thing and be like, it's that simple explanation. Isn't that fun? No, not really. I wanted to search and search and search. is really the way that you kind of keep your audience captivated. So
Yeah.
but yeah, there's gonna be a lot of David Lynch references today.
All right.
But-
So Gabriel says, good thing about most British shows is that they end sooner than later, if at all, compared to American ones.
Mhm.
Yes. Let's see. James OP says, John, did you get the PC working?
Oh yeah, well, I am using it right now for this very stream. So thank you again,
There
sir.
you go.
It was greatly appreciated.
Master Goa says some people stop being funny after Boondocks. You know, I like the show Boondocks, but I do have some issues with it because I do think the guy was, I don't know, he had some anger issues, and he even admitted it in interviews later that he had a chip on his shoulder, because he was like projecting through one of the main character. Toasty with the Mosty does a doggy dance. Hello, Toasty. Welcome to the stream.
Good morning, Toast.
Mr. 033 says maybe we should let the aliens invade Earth. Cigarette smoking, they them makes good points. The smoking them.
Right.
Gabriel says Control was the closest to X-Files in game form recently. I played Control. I liked it. That was the one made by the Alan Wake guys. I didn't know what was going on in that game, but it was a fun game to play. It was fun to play, you know. So sometimes I'll play games and not know the plot, but I'll enjoy the ride anyway.
Like Metal
I mean,
Gear
that was
for a
me
lot
with
of
Metal
people.
Gear. I played the shit out of that, but I don't really know what was going on. So Dean Domino says, not lately. Just look at Attack on Titan, My Hero Academia, or Oshi no Ko. Did those end? Is that what you're saying? I'm not really sure. The Fringe was closest to the X-Files in show form that I can remember. Fringe. I know about that show, but I've never seen it. Was that recent?
No, this is like it was 2000s. Had a guy who played Pacey, if I remember correctly, from Dawson's Creek. Not Dawson himself, but his friend.
Okay.
God, I just barely Jeremiah something or whatever. He was the guy in there, and there was some chick that he did things with, if I remember correctly. And it was all right. I mean, I caught a few episodes, but I never really got fully caught up.
Oh, right. No, I
it.
remember Fringe is with the Denethor from the Lord of the Rings movies. Noble, his name is. He's in Fringe, right?
Jeremiah
Sliders
Jackson.
is the one with Gimli.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, I get those two mixed up. I wonder why.
Gimli and Chunk were in Sliders.
Yeah.
Who we spoke about last week, getting assaulted by
Yes.
his wife and daughter.
Gabriel says JoJo has begun and ended 8 times now. Yeah, and it's that's why they're great, because they all end multiple times, and it's its own story. You could literally just watch one arc by itself if you wanted to. I mean, you might have to like figure out what happened before, but let's see. Mr. 0303 says that show is called Ranma. Yeah, the one with the will they won't they. That's another one they can never answer that. So if they do, they could do it and just end the show. But everyone knows where everyone's going to end up. That's another one of these issues, is that you drag it out for too long, then the audience can tell, okay, this is what's going to happen. And if you don't give them that, they're going to be upset. So
right.
Yeah.
It'll stall out. You know, and they'll have to kind of, because that happened with how I Met Your Mother, because it was supposed to be like, you know, the whole thing with Robin, and then like it ended up being this other chick, because they did the misdirect with, yeah, and then they still ended up getting it back to Robin, and it's like it didn't really land the way that it was supposed to, because it was like, oh, you had like this really great wife and a family, and then she died, and you just went back to the gal, that it just kind of seemed a little bit forced. And I mean, I would still just watch, you know, random episodes of How I Met Your Mother right now, because the series as a whole was fun and entertaining. But yeah, the ending was a little bit of a flat note to end on.
Yeah. All right. Well, let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. I want to read more of your comments, but we got to move on because I'm like got stuck in that. So All right, next up, we're going to talk about this is interesting. So the game you're looking at right here, this image is from Assassin's Creed Syndicate, not a new game. But what's interesting about it is there was a viral video going around of a Brazilian history teacher that hauled his PlayStation 5 into his classroom, fired up Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and walked kids through Victorian London. So he used it to teach kids about history. Let me show you guys the clip here. All right, you guys can't. I gotta like stop sharing and then restart it. So give me a second here. Okay. And so, I mean, the audio doesn't matter that much, but I'm going to need it later on in the show anyway.
Indeed.
So, all right, because they're speaking in like whatever they speak in Brazil, Portuguese.
Ó, não é uma fábrica de carvão, tá? Eles usam carvão como, deixa eu ver aqui, ó, deixa eu pegar aqui, ó. Não é uma fábrica de carvão, eles usam carvão como energia, tá? Ó, o carvão, na verdade, é a energia que vai fazer as máquinas funcionarem através do vapor, tá? Eles vão queimar o carvão, vão gerar o vapor.
All right, they're speaking in Portuguese, but what he's doing is he's using the game to show what the working conditions were like for laborers in 19th century England. He was using a video game to teach history. Okay. So this blew up on X and Reddit, but I wanted to show this to you because I think it's basically exactly what I was worried about. Is that it's not just that video games are going to become the new Hollywood.
Right.
That they were going to be a new way to reimagine history.
The new history.
So you're teaching, you're using Ubisoft Assassin's Creed games, which already stretch the truth, if I'm being like extremely charitable to them, about history, to teach history.
Right. Right.
So anyway,
so this is just
what
another.
Do you think about that, John?
I think that's exactly where you're going with this in terms of rather than, like I could say use them kind of taking images from this to show kind of the environment in a broad sense, because that's kind of the setting is about the most historically accurate thing to an Assassin's Creed title, and even that is with an asterisk next to it. Because it still has modern interpretations that we're going into it, but now this is just, this is like already muddied waters, and then going and just like stirring it up even further, and trying to look through it to get a clear understanding of the past, and that's impossible because now you've gone and take this one thing that's already been, put through a certain kind of lens and for reasons, and now trying to extrapolate from that some kind of historical basis on a work of fiction just kind of shows where we are as
yeah, so first of all, if you're covering working conditions for 19th century industries like as like a talking point in your history class, you know what you're doing already, right? You're already setting the stage up for like making the case for communism, because in the time period of this game literally has you doing missions for Karl Marx. Like he's one of the quest givers in the game. He's an ally that you work with, and he's presented extremely sympathetically. Okay.
Right.
I never played the games, but I saw the clips when I learned about that. This was back when the game came out. And I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, I played the first two Assassin's Creed games. I have them. And even when I played the very first one, I was like, what's going on with the Templars? Why are they the bad guys? Like, that was my first thought. Why are they presenting the Templars as villains? And they weren't just like, I don't know. They weren't exactly sympathetic either, but it was, and Ubisoft made a point when the game gets booted up, they have like this land acknowledgement on their games. They're like, this was made by a diverse group of people with different religions, ethnicities, and origins. Like at the beginning of every Assassin's Creed game, including the very first one, they have that disclaimer. So you have to think about what's the mindset of the people that are making this game. And by the way, Syndicate's not the only game that's been used by a teacher. Another teacher, an earlier example of a United States teacher that used Odyssey to talk about
Jesus.
ancient Greece. And Assassin's Creed Odyssey has also taken a lot. Like, none of these games are really historical.
No,
But they have like a really
they have
nice
historical
veneer.
settings, but that's about it.
Yeah,
but their
yeah,
entire
exactly.
works fictions. Yeah, I mean that'd be like trying to talk about Celtic history through fucking God of War, or like, or hey, we're going to be covering Sparta next month, so I need everybody to go play God of War games. I mean, which would, yes, be fun, but I don't think that you can really glean anything from, the Greek history or anything like that by playing God of War, other than a gestalt of what was even, really at the core of it. Yeah. So yeah, this just seems like the kids are cooked, as they say. Like the future.
This is where they're getting their education from video
right.
games.
Right.
I was gonna joke and say I think the teacher just wanted to play his PlayStation and he just brought it to school.
Right.
But this is extremely nefarious. So
yeah. Even if it's done with the best of intentions, just to argue that, it's still ultimately putting people on a pathway to
should not be using video games to teach history.
Yeah.
You should be using history to teach history.
Right.
So,
right.
So read a book. Read a motherfucking book is what I say.
Right. That's right.
So yeah, what do you guys think about that? Did you guys know about this? And give me your thoughts. I'm gonna read some of your comments and then we'll move on to the next story. All right. Mr. 303 says maybe the One Piece is the friends we made along the way. And let me see. Dean Domino says Karl Marx was an ally in Assassin's Creed Syndicate. That tells you all you need about the devs and their politics. Yes. Mr. 303 says using Assassin's Creed to teach history should be considered child abuse. Gabriel says Syndicate isn't historically accurate. The series was always explicitly alt history. Yeah, even if they told you that, it doesn't mean that people won't use it anyway. And again, teaches Greek history by showing Kratos have a three-way with Aphrodite. Teaches kids about Renaissance by showing them Ezio piecing up the Pope.
I can't wait till they start using Mad Max to teach kids about being, environmentally conservative.
Yeah, right. Why not? Why wouldn't they?
Right.
Gabriel says, bring your console to work day. Norwegian says, I never liked Assassin's Creed. I thought it was pretentious. Playing at the time, worst one, which was Assassin's Creed 3, did not help either. I never played that one. Tosi with the Mosi says, I started a Troon Civil War on X LMAO. Yeah, the third one, I wanted one that took place during the Revolutionary War, but because I thought at the time I still liked those games because I only played the first two. But when they made it you weren't like a colonist or anything like that, you were like some Native American guy. I was like, oh, okay, well, there you go. Yeah. Mr. 303 says, in fairness, Mad Max is an accurate representation of Australia.
True enough.
Yeah, True enough. Right.
We're talking to an Australian about it last night, so yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. We're going to move on to the next story. This one might get us, in trouble. But so I don't know if you guys have heard about the browser-based survival horror game called Five Nights at Epstein's.
Five Nights at Jeffrey's, man.
Yes.
Welcome
Players
to
are
Jeffrey's
victims trapped
pedophile
on Jeffrey
adventure.
Epstein's island, dodging security cameras, dim corridors, and the late financier himself, if he is late, to survive the 5 nights without being abused. So I think we're gonna play it. I want to check this out. Apparently, it was made with the Unity engine, which is interesting as well. So let's see. I don't know how this is gonna work. I'm not gonna put on headphones for this.
Yeah, Jeffrey's pedophile adventure.
Yeah. I don't know if this is going to be explicit, but one of the things that's really interesting about this is that every image here is actually images from the security cameras.
Right.
Move your mouse to look. Oh, okay, so I can do that. And I can change cameras. You can look at... I don't know how to play Five Nights at Freddy's, so you have to forgive me.
Hi.
This is pretty fucking grim.
Yeah.
Hi.
How do I use... I don't know how to play this game. It's weird. Close air vents. Restart cameras. I've seen people play this game. So these are all actual photos from inside the compound.
Yeah.
The island. I wonder if there's anything really, like, I don't know, like something that can't show on stream. These are weird couches.
Right.
I can't move, right? Is that how this works?
I would imagine, yeah. You're probably just dealing with just the images themselves and text prompts for things.
It's like Night Trap or Double Switch.
Yeah.
What, the actual game? Like Five Nights at Freddy's is like that?
No. This to a degree is kind of got Night Trap elements in terms of the camera control
sure.
that you can direct.
Oh, what's that? Oh no, that's it. Oh shit. What happened? Error. I gotta restart the cameras. Right? Is that how that works?
I guess.
Oh shit.
Oh no.
Oh,
You got
no.
PETO'd.
I got.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so you guys get the idea. How do I quit? Yeah, I'll have to leave that up for a little bit, but I'll mute it so we don't have to hear the sound.
Okay.
All right, so somebody made this online, and it's free. It's browser based. No download needed, and videos of kids sneaking it on school laptops during downtime have racked up millions of views on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Parents are furious, calling it desensitizing to real trauma. One mom said her daughter was horrified watching classmates play, while others worry it trivializes sexual assault amid fresh Epstein file drops. Schools from Utah to North Carolina are scrambling, blocking sites, pushing phone bans, urging talks about online risks, but it's spreading fast via memes and loose platform rules. No official dev ties, just indie creators on itch.io. Itch.io has a lot of like interesting
Weird.
folks there.
Yeah.
Or Game Jolt. Yet the backlash is real. Experts fear it numbs kids to victims' pain. So I don't know. What do you guys think about this? Did you guys know about this? What?
This is kind of similar to the last story. I think that we're still in the midst of trying to even sort out all the fuckery that is about as it is involved with this 20-30 year saga of ball worshipping cannibals that operated at a high elite level of power and position in the world. But I can understand why someone would go and kind of try to utilize some of that footage and things like that have been made to elicit a reaction and kind of get themselves a project that has people kind of captivated, because again, going back to people are interested in the mystery. But I do think that trying to filter it through the lens of somebody who's making a game might kind of distract from the actual legitimate thing in a meaningful sense. This whether it's intended or not will again be another one of those things that kind of muddies the water, because it's just sitting here stirring up a situation that's already unclear. But you know, on one hand, I can commend them for trying to do a thing that seems kind of interesting with this, you know, these disconnected pieces and whatnot. But on another hand, it's like, what is it leading to other than maybe just like the whole like don't get got aspect? If it's just that, and you know, and it's not really getting too far into anything with it being a browser game, I can't imagine that it's gonna like, you know, like have a whole bunch of messaging going on. But
No.
you know, but
Well,
it
I mean, I
is,
think that, yeah, I think the only thing it's trying to do is, if I had to guess, I think the only thing it's trying to do is make sure people don't forget
right,
about like
right,
that.
right. So yeah,
Keep it in
so
our
like
consciousness. Like, remember,
right,
we still don't have all the answers here, even though they dropped a lot of files.
right,
But like we still don't have any like resolution that people
yeah,
are happy
but
about.
yeah,
So
it's certainly one of those things where it's a point of controversy, clearly, and maybe like that's kind of maybe that might just even be the intention is in itself is to get people kind of a little bit riled up to not forget about it. And in that case, if that's what it's for, then you know, then that's not a bad thing at all. If it's really under the idea of do your own research and get, you know, because and even what research you can do is a very small amount. As you mentioned, like the information that has been released is not all the information that there is. It's just the information that is accessible, and so it's you know, it's a terrible thing. And yeah, it certainly isn't anything that anybody should just let go into the memory hole of history, and we move on from it. And because, but there are still people that you try to talk to about it, and they'll immediately throw up their blinders, and you know, just don't want to deal with the thing that, you know, it's been here the entire time. Like, unfortunately, I don't know how to really say this to people, other than to say that, you know, the problem that's at the root of this goes all the way back beyond the Bible. And you know, this is just a modern day telling of a system that has been in place throughout time and history, unfortunately.
well, yeah, Jeffrey Epstein according to some reports, he wanted to bring back Babylon,
Mm-hmm.
which was like, you know, one of those places that where there's a lot of evil going on, like Sodom and Gomorrah. So it is a little bit biblical. It is a bit.
Yeah.
So but anyway, yeah, I think that the purpose of it is just to remind people that this is still like unresolved. And I know that I get why parents are freaking out, but you know, you kind of have to confront this now, right? At least with your kids, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But that reminds me of like, oh, is this just going to be like anytime there's something controversial that's put on, like, you know, that's made into a piece of media, whether it's a game or a piece of music or whatever, there's going to be people who see that as an opportunity to basically do more censorship and control.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think there's a lot of like pearl clutching about this stuff, right?
Right.
Because I think the only thing it is basically like jump scares and like, you know,
Yeah.
kind of creepy music. But then Five Nights and Freddy's is sort of the same thing. And how many of those are there? I don't even
Right.
know how many there are. It's like
can't
I've
even
never
tell you
played
at this
them.
point in time. There's a little
But yeah, I
mini
suck
sequel
at
to
it. But maybe you guys could check it out. It's just, you know, Five Nights at Epstein's. Just search for it online. It's browser based. See if you can beat it. If it can be beat at all. Tell me who, if you got, is it Stephen Hawking that does it? Because you know he's one of the monsters in the game. So one of the enemies.
I do also think that it's weird, and this is just complete coincidental thing, but that back in, you know, the 80s and 90s, Toys R Us, like their mascot's name was Jeffrey, and then they would later go on to also be affiliated with the Kids R Us, and you know, it's just, and like those things have absolutely no connection. That's legitimately meaningful.
Pretty
but I just always think
weird.
it's kind of weird that it's like Jeffrey and Jeffrey. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah. You want the giraffe with the G, not the other one. To be the one that your kids are acquainted with. Yeah, it's
an interesting
weird thing.
All right.
Unfortunately, we have to deal with.
Let me know what you guys think about that one in the comments. I'm gonna look at some of your chats and we're gonna move on to the next story. So Dean Domino says, well, I agree about not using video games to teach history. How accurate are the books they have been using? Those are probably full of propaganda too. Yeah, for sure. No, you need to go to like the basically primary sources first. But it is hard to say because there's a lot of bias in our. That's why my main criticism of school in general is that, you know, because there's a lot of like lies, especially when it comes to things like history. You know, when I was going to school, we didn't have a class called history. You know, we know they called it social studies.
Yeah.
And I didn't know at the time why they called it social studies and not history, because it did contain history in it, or at least like some version of history. But now that you know, when I got older, I thought about it as like, oh, that's why it's social studies and not history, because it literally isn't history. Right. It's social studies, which is another way of saying sociology that's put in the context of, you know, historical events where, you know, the teacher chooses or is told, you know, by the school to focus on specific points in history. And that's what we end up talking about. So, you know, because history is a big thing. So you can't possibly learn all of it. So you have to put your focus or your attention to certain points of history. And it just so happens that your teachers know which points in history to look at. And this is unique from, say, you know, your ability to read or do math, because those things, like math in particular, is pretty fixed, right? There's no, I know that they've tried to change
they've
math,
tried it. Yeah, they've even tried to figure that out.
It's not working. Like math is math, right?
Yeah.
Reading, you can play with that too, because depending on what you get kids to read, whether it's, you know, if they never read 1984 or Animal Farm, you know, then maybe they're not going to be like able to like see, you know, the problems happening in their world. And if they were reading books like, I don't know, like the fucking Scum Manifesto and whatever, then you're going to have a different, it is kind of like a way that you prepare people. That's, you can use it in whatever way. So
yeah, and I think that, you know, if you are wanting to get a better understanding of the society at the time, it's probably best to use media sources that are from the time rather than media that is a reinterpretive kind of vehicle for other things, because at that point in time you're getting third-hand information that is, you know, at best they got the architecture right at best, but that's about the only thing that you could utilize from that.
You could use it for that, but I'd probably
but even that
use it at all.
Right,
like,
even that is suspect, to be quite honest, because like look at the most recent Assassin's Creed, where they're just straight up using Chinese architecture to, you know, depict feudal Japan. Yeah.
So let's see what else here. Robert Johnson says there's nothing new in the pearl clutching of the behavior or of the children. The more things change. Norwegian says, in the context of Five Nights at Freddy's, the monsters would be the victims of Epstein seeking revenge. Saltpeter Taffy says, the people who aren't direct victims have to laugh somehow or else they'll cry. Toasty with the Mosey says, John, I need you to go to the store and get some lactose milk. So
just milk.
Or just milk.
Yeah, it's just straight milk, yes.
And Robert Johnson said, I remember hearing Head and Shoulders and Blue Eyes jokes less than an hour after the Challenger explosion. Gallows humor. Woof. All right, well, let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. We got to move on to the next story. All right, so Lord of the Rings.
Our headliner.
What the fuck are we going to do about this? So Warner Brothers dropped this, announcing The Lord of the Rings Shadow of the Past, a sequel set 14 years after Frodo's death, because that's what we wanted.
Right.
The Stephen Colbert is co-writing it with his son, Peter McGee, and Philippa Boyens, the original trilogy's scribe. So Philippa Boyens did not write the books.
Right.
She wrote the screenplay. So if there were issues with the, you know, like some of the writing of the films that did not match the books, it was her that did that. I'm assuming it's a woman because the name is Philippa.
Yeah.
The plot is going to follow Sam, Merry, and Pippin retracing their early journey. I think the Shire bit skipped in the films. while
Yes.
Sam's grown daughter Eleanor digs up a buried secret about how the War of the Ring almost flopped before it started. It's pulling from early Fellowship chapters like Three is Company to Fog on the Barrow Downs, framing it as a fresh adventure that slots into canon. Peter Jackson is also involved, but
Yeah.
like involved is about as much as we know.
Yeah.
So
It's
this is what I'm saying when I'm saying that some things should just be left alone, obviously. Despite its imperfections, the Lord of the Rings trilogy doesn't need any help, at all. Like they're going to do something with Gollum still, right?
Yes, yes, that will be the first of these side quills, because that's what they are. It's like they're going and they're slotting stuff into a completed work of the adaptation as it was done. And yeah, there were elements that were not in there in the movies, but for what it was actually trying to get at the heart of what it was all about and the themes, and it was about as successful as anyone could ever be. And I just find this to be this is corporate malfeasance, trying to hold on to a license, and they're again nostalgia baiting, because rather than just go and move on to other works of Tolkien and things like that you could just as easily do a better job than Amazon's doing with Rangs of Prime. They're making an unnecessary sequel, which is why the thumbnail for today, if anybody saw it before they popped in, I specifically, when you mentioned this, because I don't know enough about Harry Potter to really make a thumbnail on that, so I was like, well, clearly, the Scouring of the Shire was not fully covered in the original trilogy. So,
right.
But they have the scene where he's talking to Galadriel about a future of possibilities, right? And the Scouring of the Shire, that's what I equate this to, them doing this. It was like, oh, so we're actually going to scour the Shire now and actually go about burning the whole thing and trying to make it about something that just probably shouldn't be. I don't trust Stephen Colbert.
I can't wait for the vaccine musical number.
Right. I mean, I understand that he speaks Elvish and he thinks himself to be like this huge Tolkien purist and whatnot, but that dude's as pure as anybody with a vaccine stare could be, so like that's kind of my take on like why do you have to ruin the things that were actually done effectively, like and other than this being just a corporate decision of, well, we need to hold on to the license, we need to do a thing, and instead of just, you could just put the Lord of the Rings movies out into the theaters every 5 to 10 years and just rotate them through, and no one would have a problem with it, because they're just good movies, and they actually accomplished the task in the first going round, and this just seems completely indulgent in a way that is not going to actually serve the audience or even the source material. I think this is made to serve the boardroom and the people who have their weird agendas, because and this is I will make my actual connection to Lord of the Rings to David Lynch that I was hinting at earlier. When David Lynch made Twin Peaks as a series, of course, it kind of got a little bit away from what he wanted, so he ended up making Fire Walk with Me, which was very tonally different. Than the series itself. But when they filmed it, they had all this material, and so years later, they put David Lynch put out a movie. It's kind of like a silent sequel, a sidequel of its own making, called The Missing Pieces, that goes and actually gets into those bits that we didn't see in the series or Fire Walk with Me. But the difference being here is that was his own work, and he was actually trying to actually give a little bit more to the overall structure of the mystery and all this kind of stuff. And that was the actual guy who was involved with it doing the thing. So that I love The Missing Pieces. and I will gladly, like when I'm watching through my David Lynch series of, oh, I'm gonna do Twin Peaks now. It is part of that. But this is something else entirely of reinterpretive works, kind of what we were just talking about, of going and taking something that reflects on history, but then goes and tries to put their own spin on it. So I don't see any good coming from this. Unfortunately, I will not be there in the theater for this one.
No. Is it going to be in theaters? Oh God. Well, I guess that's better than a streaming service. I want streaming services to die in a fire. But
yes.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't really care that Stephen Colbert is a super fan and speaks Elvish and all that. He's a horrible human being, in my opinion. And I just know I have no respect for him. So even if he was like the best guy in the room for this, I wouldn't want to watch it. I don't think we need it. Need it. They left that out of the film. It's okay. They left out Tom Bombadil too. Are they going to make a movie which shows Tom Bombadil like hanging out with the hobbits and they're going to be like in their 60s? No, I'm not.
That's the other issue with this too. Is
if you want that, read the book. Just read the books. You know.
Yeah, and I don't think we need 50-year-old hobbits reflecting on when they were in their 20s. You know.
Yeah. That's no. That's I don't need that. I was gonna say the other thing is that I was gonna say something else about this too.
But yeah, it's just gonna have a whole bunch of de-aging tech and stupid bullshit. And just,
oh my God, creamy looking faces. No, I just I don't know. I just think that like, well, first of all, people are probably gonna make like AI movies with all the stuff they want to see, and then you can watch it or not watch it.
You know, in a weird way, this is going to be the Golem trilogy. Whereas like the original trilogy is kind of like Smeagol, who finds the ring and does the thing, and this is the corruption of the ring, and the Ring of Power are the people that are behind making this sequel. Unfortunately, this is another one of those things where it's like, much like Disney did a terrible job in telling stories about the dark side. If you just look at like the mechanizations of how those movies came to be, that will explicitly show you the dark side.
Yeah. The thing I was gonna say is that this seems like a very desperate play by Warner Brothers. Like they've been losing a lot of money because they've been releasing trash films. Or just straight up ignoring things they probably could have made money off of the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them franchise they had, and then they fired Johnny Depp based on what happened with him and Amber Heard, and they should never have done that because I didn't watch those movies, but he was probably like one of the strongest things about them because he often is. He's very good in everything he does. And I like Mads Mikkelsen, but it's not the same person. Once you've done that, you've kind of like screwed yourself, right? It's just going to look different to people. They're not. And so they lost money on that. They've lost money on all their DC franchise stuff. None of it's been good. Like, I mean, there's a list of trash that they've been putting out. And they have the Lord of the Ring. What's the, I guess like the Game of Thrones stuff. Warner Brothers also owns that stuff. They own a lot of stuff, but like the Alien movies, that was them. They screwed that up. I think it was. They originally owned that because it's like HBO was owned by Warner Brothers under the same banner. So they've lost a lot of money on a lot of different franchises. And they're getting, I think, bought out by Paramount, right?
Yeah.
And so I think they're trying to salvage, make some money so that they don't, I don't completely implode, but I just don't think this is a good idea. This is desperation. That's what I think it is. Absolute desperation. And then attaching a name like Stephen Colbert to it, because like, despite my feelings about the guy, he is a famous like person. So they could just use that. Like, oh, famous person likes big fan of these movies. He's going to be involved. It's kind of like, don't you like him? Because he's a fan of the thing that you're a fan of, and he's going to be doing the thing, Right. It's like, yeah, well, Dave Filoni was also a fan of Star Wars, and look what we got for that. We got Ahsoka and everything.
Exactly.
But yeah, I just think it's going to be a disaster piece.
Yeah, I can't wait till like they take on some goblin horde in it, and it will be an Orange Man Bad section.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
allegory. Or
yeah.
there'll be immigrants, and the goblin horde will be made up of like females and babies and refugees, like arriving on boats.
Which is
let them in
because they pulled that shit with Rangs of Prime. So I can't
migrants.
imagine.
There'll be migrant orcs and goblins with their babies.
Just misunderstood.
And goblin women in hijabs, like looking for food and shelter.
That's right.
That's what they're gonna do. Because if you humanize the enemy, that means that you're highbrow and you're big brained and you're thinking and you have empathy and emotional intelligence. That's what it means. So all right, let me look at some of your comments, and then we're gonna move on to the last story on my list. So first, Norwegian Black Templar says, most parents are normies. They'll freak out because some authority told them to. Boycott them and meme them until they cry. Gabriel says, F Frodo. Yeah. Well, Frodo's in the Grey Havens. He's safe from all this garbage. So,
yeah.
Walt Peter Taffy says, Stephen Colbert is a legit Lord of the Rings super fan, but that means he'll be able to corrupt it in ways pretender directors could only dream of.
Yes,
yeah,
he's
true.
He's the Wormtug and the Steward of Gondor in this sense. He's getting it into his own ear.
I want a shot of Stephen Colbert eating a little tomato. That's what I want.
Right. That was the other idea that I had as a possible thumbnail. Was I was going to do Stephen Colbert as like a Wormtongue whispering into Peter Jackson's ears.
That would have been great, actually.
Yeah, I didn't have the time for that one. Because I had to do all this tech stuff and the water heater. So
no, it's good. It's okay. We might have a chance to do that later.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but there's always the future. This thing is going to come out, unfortunately. So
yeah, for sure. Norwegian Black Templar says Jackson might be involved, but $5 says his hands are tied. Well, yeah, being involved could mean anything. They could literally have just approaced him and said, "Look, we want you to attach your name to this."
Right. We'll give you an executive
and they gave him like a blank
check,
check, and he attached his name to it. He might not even. He's probably not involved that much, but putting his name next to it helps.
Yeah.
Like it's all about selling it, really.
Yeah. Because at this point in time, casting is not just for the actors. It is quite literally the production in total is completely cast, where it's like, oh, we'll use this person from the director of so and so, blah 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 bullshit. Yeah,
from the cousin of the producer of this movie that you liked. Yeah,
right.
Okay, or maybe just put in a guy who happens to have a similar sounding last name.
Right.
Anyway, let's see. Norwegian says, playing Lord of the Rings in cinemas again would get me to go there again for the first time in almost a decade. Yeah, I'd go to the theater to watch that, or some other old movies. I go to the theater for that. I go to the theater for Terminator 2. So Gabriel says, Tom Bombadil's Bombaclat. We'll get it. We're going to come back to Bombaclat in just a second. Robert Johnson says, brace yourself for Amy Schumer casts as Frodo's adult daughter. Oh, God. Oh, God. I can see that, though. Apparently, Amy Schumer lost a bunch of weight. Weird.
Yes.
Islam would be a fitting religion for orcs. Yeah. I still don't buy that there are females, but Scream is getting its 7th movie, by the way. It's a parody of itself at this point. Which it kind of was to begin with. The concept was that. So Norwegian says Wormtongue was once an honest man who fell to temptation and corruption. Comparing Colbert to him is very fitting.
That's exactly Now yes, this is the nature of the way my mind works when I'm like, how am I gonna go put this into a visual representation? So yeah.
Fair. Okay. Thank you guys for your comments. Let us now move on to the last story. First, I want to open up with a musical number because I think it's great and it's fitting. Let's hope the sound works on this.
Yeah, I'm Blacksmith. Black cloak, black skin. Walk the hall, they whispering. Cauldron bubble, I'm different. Dark eyes don't flinch, just glimmering. House points, man, miss me. Came from pain, they history. Same blood, they fear, they diss me. But they copy my brew, still sip me. Side eye from the portraits. Cold stone, but my soul scorched. They ain't teach where I'm from. Had to learn from the alleys and the torch. Half prince in the world they hate. Half rage in the narrow gate. Half hood in the castle gate. Homie, never run from flags. Walking through the dark. One day my hand in a hex in my heart. Turn that fear to a spell, then I spark. Yeah. I've been cursed from the start.
Is that a Patronus?
They talk war on the streets. I
don't know my Harry Potter lore.
Drive by, man, I glide by
I can say myself.
I ain't glorified shots, that's great. That's moms in black, that's waves. Of boys that ain't make old age. So I ain't my rage at the cage. Walking through the dark. One day my hand in a X in my heart. To a spell, then I spark. Yeah. I've been cursed from the start. Black snake.
This is what AI is made for.
Exactly.
So we're getting a new Harry Potter series, and this is the 3. Hermione looks a little bit different. I don't know. So HBO just dropped their first teaser for their Harry Potter TV series. It's going to have eight episodes covering Philosopher's Stone. By the way, that video was Goblet of Fire.
Yes.
Just kidding. Set to hit Christmas 2026. So Christmas of this year. It's a full reboot. It's got a fresh cast like Dominic McLaughlin as Harry, Arabella Stanton as Hermione, Alistair Stout as Ron, plus big names like John Lithgow as Dumbledore, Papa Isidu as Snape. Yes, that's his name, Papa Isidu.
He's casting
Nick
a
Frost
spell.
as Hagrid. J.K. Rowling's thrilled, calling it incredible, and the original actors like Rupert Grint and Emma Watson gave nods like looks amazing and proud of them. But fans split down the middle. Some cried from nostalgia seeing Hogwarts again. Others slammed the washed out colors, no John Williams music, and especially Isidu's Snape casting, which sparked backlash, even threats. Critics say it feels too safe, like an AI redo of the movies. A few called it magical, but most agree it's comfy yet off-putting. Public's buzzing online, half excited for deeper book details, half worried it'll mess with childhood memories. Here's the funniest thing about this. The reason or the impetus for this series is supposedly that the movies were not entirely accurate to the books. And so they were like, we got to go full book accuracy as much as possible.
Right.
Black Snake.
Black Snake.
And Brown Hermione. I don't know what's going on with that. Like her coffee Hermione for some reason. So what were you going to say, John? I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I was just I was echoing kind of what you were saying, that yes, this is also more signs of Warner Brothers in trouble, not able to just move on and do new things, relying on the nostalgia of the past and their past better works. I didn't read the books, haven't really watched the movies. I understand people enjoy the books and people enjoy the movies.
I watched the movies once.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like it seems like even the original movie series kind of seemed to kind of get a little bit up its own ass with some levels of pretension and whatnot in the course of it. But again, I put that to more malfeasance from the people in the boardroom than anything. And they were like, hey, why put out one movie when we can put out two? But
that was like the Deathly Hallows. Is that what you mean? Like the last movie was
the last one being split into multiple parts.
Well, the
books
fair,
were also larger,
got thicker and thicker
right.
over time.
Right.
The last book was like because the I guess the readers they grew old reading the books. So yeah,
right. And so so like it's one of those things where I think that the original stuff was probably done in as good faith as possible, but a movie, an adaptation is called that for a reason. It adapts things but it doesn't mean that it's a direct one-to-one retelling. So this just seems, this is a product of our times, and I think that it will be known for that. The more more time spent with it. That and like there's just so many kind of decisions that don't really make sense because they're like, well, this is going to be a production that's done book by book, but not necessarily going to be on a yearly kind of drip feed of seasons. So you got John Lithgow pushing towards being in his 90s. Man's going to be dead before this thing is completed, unfortunately, more than likely, you know. And so like they're setting out to do a thing that is seemingly kind of snake bit from the start, or Snape bit, I suppose, is probably the more appropriate way to say that, given what we're seeing here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Well, you know what's funny about this too? Well, obviously, like Alan Rickman looked more like the character in the books than this guy Papa Asidu does, and of course, it's obvious that the books described him as pale, like Snape as like a pale guy, and also one of the most, if not the most important character in the story.
Right.
Like he's one of the most important characters. Maybe more than Harry Potter, because Harry Potter just kind of like floats through the story, like, you know, he just happens to be doing all the right things, if I remember correctly, which is fine. Like it's like a wish fulfillment for the people reading, right? But Snape is the character that goes through the most stuff, and he's like the most pivotal to the plot. And so it's interesting that that's where the race swapped character comes in, and everyone's pretending like that's not an issue. But beyond that, so yeah, obviously that's all wrong. But what's funny is that I don't think this is going to work out for them, because here's the thing. J.K. Rowling, despite being a feminist and a progressive herself, she disagrees with progressives on one key issue, right?
Yes.
And it's basically gotten her into a lot of trouble. People were burning her books. And she supports this show, but I don't think this is going to work out, because I think a lot of her fan base, not just the ones that don't like the casting choice, but they don't like her because she disagrees on the trans thing, and she's been like vocal about that. Okay. So this isn't going to work. Like, I think you don't understand that you're trying to court an audience that probably hates you already. John Lithgow, by the way, was all on board with it. He thought, oh, this is so great. You know, oh my God, representation, so big of a deal. And yeah, I think like Gabriel said in the chat, Alan Rickman would have supported this too. I'm sure he would have. I'm sure that most of these people would have supported it. And I just think it's funny, because I think this play is partly to try to like win back an audience that already walked away from this woman, because despite her agreeing with them on 99% of issues, there was one that she disagreed, and that was one too many. It was the one that killed them, or killed her, or killed their relationship, whatever.
Yeah, this series does seem like a bending of the knee, and you know, but you could just see it right here in this image of the comparison. You've got Alan Rickman's version of Snape, looking very much like a wizard, you know, wizard robes. And then next to him, you see what looks to be like a background character from The Wire that has been superimposed into, you know, I mean, it looks like
leathers.
Yeah, it looks like he's like slinging rocks out on the fucking street corners at 3 a.m. You know, like this is that robe is just absolutely a thing, you know.
That's Harry Potter. Are you really Harry Potter, my G?
Type shit.
Type shit.
None of that, broski. We're all here on the Maybach Express for one reason and one reason only, and that's to go to Dripwatts, the School of Drip.
Hey, time out. One of my stars on this bitch. I'm gonna go crazy. Check this out.
Fantastic.
Wait, is that Voldemort's on his t-shirt? I love that. You see like Harry Potter's t-shirt? He's got like a blunt.
Yep.
Oh man, what a mistake, guys. This is like it's but you know, I'm not really a Harry Potter guy, so I'm not sweating it, to be honest. I'm not sweating it at all. Okay. Anyway, So you were saying I think I cut you off. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's all right. Well, I guess what I'm saying is I'm the true winner in all of this because this is not destroying my nostalgia for a thing because I never really was connected to it enough to really give too much of a shit to begin with, and all the memes of the of which we're seeing here on display, I will get absolute joy and entertainment from. But this is a completely misguided effort in its best intention. Yeah, I think that this is the bending of the knee and trying to make good with an audience that already hates them, and which this is going to be another one of those things where they just end up making it for no one because the people who actually were still on board with this and wanting to kind of have something that was a little bit of a deeper dive into the source material, they're clearly not going to be rewarded with the way that this thing is going to present itself if this is where we're already at before we even have seen episode 1. And for the people that already hate J.K. Rowling and anything that she's associated with, they're not going to show up. So this bending of the knee is falling on deaf ears. So yeah, this just designed to fail, unfortunately.
Dude,
but it didn't hurt my feelings any.
What is this new genre?
Right?
I don't know. It just I'm not a Harry Potter fan, so I'm not bothered by this. But if you are, I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry that you have to experience this. I mean, you can just read the books, I guess. But so yeah, I think ultimately this is gonna blow up in her face because, first of all, the people who are not in favor of wokeness don't like her because she's a feminist. But also, this is going to basically just confirm, like, okay, I'm not watching that shit. And then the people who do like her, or used to, that might have supported this, will not because she doesn't support trans people, which means there won't be a troon at Hogwarts, right? Unless they put one in there, in which case that could be, it's another piece of drama. They could put a troon in there, and then J.K. Rowling's got to contend with that because she's not involved with it. So maybe they'll do it just to spite her. Who knows?
Somewhere around season 2,
interesting.
season 3, there is every possibility that they could, Yeah.
I just want to know what the, what are the crime statistics going to be like at Hogwarts after this?
Right.
Okay. Anyway. So let me know what you guys think about this one in the comments. If you were going to make a new Harry Potter, who would you cast as Snape, since we don't have Alan Rickman with us? And while you're at it, who you cast as Hermione?
Well, I think for Snape, the immediate thought goes to, I can't say his name right now, but of course, Kylo Ren.
Adam Driver.
Adam Driver would probably be about the closest kind of, approximation to actors that are vital and relevant enough and have plenty of life space to move through what is easily a decade to 20-year long commitment that this thing would involve. So I don't know, like this thing, these kids are going to be in their 40s. It's going to be like Stranger Things, they'll be in their 40s by the time this thing is over and done with. So, and for Hermione, I don't know enough about young actresses at this point in time to really go and suggest one.
Some young, I don't know what Hermione looked like in the books, but
just some unknown girl who actually looks the part. Certainly don't go and get someone like a Bella Ramsey. I'm going to be a wizard.
She's already like 40 or something.
Right,
yes.
Like yeah.
So yeah, I think she's too old.
Yeah, thankfully. You're a wizard, motherfucker.
You're a wizard, motherfucker. Why is that so funny? Okay, we got to stop. Let me see what you guys are saying in the comments. This is this is bad. Okay. It's even got the shitty rap lyrics. Yeah, it does. Unfortunately, this is rap now. Like that, like literally, like that's peak current rap in the mainstream, at least.
Yeah.
Gabriel says you're a spook, Ari. Oh, wow. Mr. 303 says culture junkies will defend this garbage. Yes, they will. Gabriel says 6'7". They're gonna put some of that in there. Let's see. GameCat16, what's up? Welcome to the show. Yeah, Harry isn't very active, more of a MacGuffin on legs and an agent. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's like Longbottom does some things. I watched the movies one time, so I'm going off of what I remember, you know. But like, there's other characters that are more consequential. Actually, like, what's the name of the redheaded kid that Rupert Grint plays? That's like the boy, the other
Weasley.
Wesley, Weasley, Ronald Weasley, Ron Weasley. Yeah, he's actually got a more interesting character arc than the other two, than Hermione or Harry. Hermione's kind of a Mary Sue. She just does everything well. But anyway, Gabriel says they should just keep Hagrid the same for no reason. I think they got the guy from Shaun of the Dead to play him, which isn't bad.
Yeah, Nick Frost.
Yeah, I think he's the guy playing him. Unless I got that wrong. Let me see. What did it say? Let's see. Yeah, Nick Frost is Hagrid. Yeah, that's the guy from Shaun of the Dead. Yeah. Toasty says LMAO. I think that was for the music video. Yeah. I would watch it if the AI version was made as a parody. I would watch an AI version for sure. Great Indoors says, at this point, I'm not sure I was watching an AI meme or the actual proposed product. It could be. I think it's gonna be. There's gonna be memes about this. Let's see. James OP says it's not going to blow up in her face. She gets paid either way. Well, it could kill the property, but I guess she's already rich, so you know it's not like if she lost money on this, it wouldn't matter. If she gained money on this, it wouldn't matter. Yeah. Ron,
nothing else we can say for certain. No matter what your discipline of fandom for wizarding ways has been in the course of the last 20 years, you can be damn certain that within the next few years, Warner Brothers will have ruined it. You know, whether because I'm more of the Tolkien kind of wizards rather than the Rowling form. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I guess no matter what, which way your door swings in terms of what kind of wizards and you prefer, Warner Brothers will see fit to undermine your own good feelings and nostalgia for these things. So, yay!
Yeah,
common ground. We're all getting fucked by Warner Brothers.
Iris Rhoda says, afternoon. Hello.
Hey, what up, Rhoda?
Norwegian says Gandalf is greater than Dumbledore. Yes. Yeah. Yes, that's my vote. But anyway, they're gonna screw over Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter. So whatever. Like, it's half of one, half a dozen of one, 12 of the other, 6, whatever. Yeah, okay, so it's time for us to wrap it up here. So I was gonna do some cake. I think. What was the one thing that I said we could look at? It was the Sega thing. So let me dig that up here real quick, and then we'll wrap it up. And then while I'm getting that ready, John, tell us where you're gonna be.
I'm just gonna be doing some more stuff here around the house after we get done today. But of course, I need to watch couple episodes of Red Dwarf for season 12. We'll be reviewing episodes 1 and 2 tomorrow over on Will of the Fans channel, starting at 11 a.m. Eastern for that. And of course, you can always find me there throughout the week, Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays at that start time, provided life doesn't get in the way to cause delays and setbacks. And then tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern, I'll be hanging out with Toasty and everybody else who joins in for a Lazy Sunday session over on her channel. You can always find me there with her as well throughout the week, Sundays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. Of course, do this here with you at 11 a.m. Eastern on the weekends. Other than that, though, I do want to thank everybody who took time out of their day to hang out with us for the last 2 hours to kind of start their weekend off. We do appreciate all the follows, the likes, the subscribes, any kind of interaction, and just being here and being active in the chat. We greatly appreciate. And always pleasure having these conversations with you on the weekends. But of course, with that said, y'all have a wonderful weekend going forward. Of course, safe travels ahead. Be awesome as always.
All right, so I have it queued up. We're going to look at 2 little things really quick. One is the Shinobi Art of Vengeance official Sega Villains DLC. So they're going to, I guess it's going to add a couple of extra like matches or boss fights or something.
Rush mode,
and but they're like bonus bosses.
To the hands of the abominable Lord Ruse. I'm
going to skip ahead of this. I think Lord Ruse is the boss of the first game. I haven't gotten that far yet.
Right. He faced Lord Ruse.
So if you don't have this game, it's great. It's a 2D action game, and it's very well animated, beautiful. This is really cool.
Right?
Yeah, so that's like I guess a villain from Yakuza, and Dr. Robotnik and Death Adder from Golden Axe. I don't know. I wonder if Robotnik, like legit. So interesting choice here. Dean Domino gave us $4.99. Off topic, Brian, but if you're interested, you could look into Angel Sword Studios. It's a company with the VTuber Leaflet and others making a TTRPG. I will. Thank you. Yeah. Angel Studio. Are you in the Discord server, Dean Domino? You could like drop a link in there. Just share it with the community.
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, that looks good. I'll probably finish the main game first and then like see like if that's like worth my time or money. And here's the other thing I saw. Okay, so admittedly, I'm a big Fist of the North Star fan, and they're adding him to Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves, I think it's called, which is the new Fatal Fury game.
Yeah,
I think it's really a really interesting choice. I'm gonna presume not lore accurate Kenshiro, because if it was,
he wins.
There'd be no contest,
right?
I don't know how that would work, but it's I mean I like Kenshiro, so I'm interested to see how they make that work in the game. Yeah. Will you be able to blow up Terry Bogard's head? I don't know.
Right, I know. It's like, it's my thought here is he does seem to kind of be a little bit at a higher power level than everyone else in the game.
Oh, he's not. He's like beyond like insane. He's insanely powerful. Mr. 303 says he should be in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R. Even then, he'd be completely broken. Like, I mean, if they're going to go lore accurate, he's completely busted. Right. But I'm okay with it, though. Just see it as a fan servicey thing. I will see how he plays. It might even get me to consider buying the game. Maybe when it comes to these fighting games that have like seasons, you know, where they like release characters over time, I usually wait until like all the seasons are out and then just
you get the
like they'll
collected.
usually sell it like complete with everything in it for like a normal price. I might just wait for that and get it then.
Yeah.
So that's what I did with Street Fighter 5. I got it like, I don't know, about a month ago.
Yeah.
And because I didn't want to pay for it. I was really not happy with it when it first launched, but I got it for really cheap. It was on sale and I said, fuck it, you know. And I wanted to see what the hype was about, but it's not a good game, unfortunately. Oh, okay. Ken couldn't beat most stands as his powers are physical. He wouldn't have to. All he has to do is touch the user. It's literally one touch. All right, but anyway.
He's got the touch.
He's got the power.
Yeah, right. Sorry.
And you know, if you think of like stands as like key energy or something, like some people I've hypothesized that he would be able to see stands. But yeah, I mean it would well anyway, I don't know. We're getting into like, you know, really theoretical area, but I'm just saying the power level of this is different. It's like putting Goku in this game. You know, like it would just be like, what? But anyway, let me know. Do you think who would win between Kenshiro and Goku? Let me know in the comments. But anyway, all right. So we're gonna wrap the show up there. Thanks guys for coming on. Again, I'm gonna be doing the rest of Fallout New Vegas this week. I think I'll finish it this week. I think.
Nice.
We're getting to the end. I've done all the DLC, and there's not much left to do except, you know, basically either team up with. Like either kill or disable Mr. House and like, you know, join up with like the Battle of Hoover Dam. So that's basically where we're at. It's basically the end of the game. So nice. I think. Anyway, with all that said, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today, and share the video because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on this episode of The Week in Culture, and we will see you guys in the next one. Long live Vivian.
With the glass ceiling broken, all the oppressed groups shall prosper, especially the most oppressed group of all, gamers.
I want people in the industry to be a little bit louder about people being mean to other people, and maybe say it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Maybe say we don't want you around if you're going to be a cunt.
Yeah.
And hateful. And that the games industry is diverse naturally. Not because anyone's making them be diverse. Because the world is diverse, you stupid motherfucker. And if you have a problem with that, come fight me. Physically. Bitch.
Has anyone taken you up on that yet?
No, because they're all pussies.
Yep.
Down here, salt is a way of life.
Obviously, the environment down here is all salt. The ceiling's salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt, and to an extent, the air is salt. And you breathe that in, and you can constantly taste the salt.